Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be discussing the long-term bullish scenario for Chainlink. In this video, we'll talk about the LINK Bitcoin ratio and compare it to the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio back from the previous market cycle. Now, these two charts do have a lot of similarities, and the goal here is to just analyze these similarities and point out some trends and patterns. With the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, there was an 89% bear market decline over 2 years from this peak in June of 2017 down to this bottom here in September of 2019. And the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio did have this longer term momentum shift where eventually it did form that double bottom and then it started to reverse back to the upside. And Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin ever since this double bottom back a few years ago. Now with the Chainlink Bitcoin ratio, we do have a similar bear market decline where if we measure from the peak back here in August of 2020 during that DeFi summer down to the low that we had back here on the May capitulation just a few months ago, it has been an 88% decline, and that has been over 91 weeks. And the bullish scenario for Chainlink is a longer term momentum and trend shift where Chainlink does start to outperform Bitcoin once again and it reverses this longer term downtrend, similar to how Ethereum Bitcoin did back in the previous market cycle. Again, during that 2019 and 2020 double bottom, we had immense support being held and then we started to reverse that trend, forming higher lows, higher highs, and reversing this massive downtrend. So for Chainlink, I'm really going to be watching out for the longer term signs of a trend and momentum reversal, which for the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio was a double bottom followed by some higher lows and higher highs. So if we do get those signs for Chainlink Bitcoin, that will really support the bullish case, the bullish narrative. And before we do look at the trends and comparisons between the two charts, I really want to make the case of how important this reversal is. So for Chainlink Bitcoin, I'm just going to be focusing on a historical snapshot of CoinMarketCap back from this peak right here in August of 2020, just to help visualize what this trend actually represents. Because it's very clear to see this downtrend, but we don't often understand what this is representing. So right here is a historical snapshot of CoinMarketCap from that peak back in August, the DeFi summer. And you can see on this date, Bitcoin was around $11,865, and Chainlink was the fifth highest cryptocurrency in market cap, was around $19.10. So since that time frame, back 2 years ago, Bitcoin has almost gone up by 100%, and you can see that Chainlink is down almost 65% from that time. So that's really what this is representing, this downtrend on the Chainlink Bitcoin ratio. That is the underperformance, and that is specifically what I want to see reverse for the bullish scenario for Chainlink. So now let's talk about these comparisons, and I'm going to switch over here to this chart with the blue line representing the Chainlink Bitcoin ratio, and the white line is the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio. Now the Chainlink Bitcoin ratio in blue has been scaled back to align with the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio's peak back here in June of 2017. And I want to focus on the peaks because both Chainlink and Ethereum had a very similar peak in terms of their longer term market cycle all-time highs. So what I'm talking about here is with the Chainlink Bitcoin ratio, we actually had a peak right here in August of 2020. Now this was during the DeFi summer peak, and we can see that Chainlink at this time was again around $19, $20, and that actually did not correspond to Chainlink's all-time high, which was actually later on in May of 2021, right around $50, several months after the LINK Bitcoin ratio already put in its longer-term market cycle all-time high. And a very similar thing actually happened for Ethereum, where if we go over here, we can see the same thing, where the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio put in its market cycle high right here around 0.15 in June of 2017, and the Ethereum USD pair put in its all-time high right here in January of 2018 around $1,400, while the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio was already in this several month longer term downtrend, and this was just a lower high. So they both had that same market structure for their all-time high. And going back to the first chart, we can see that if we were to align both of these peaks to the same date, they've actually got a very similar structure in terms of how the bear market has played out. They both have these longer term lower lows, lower highs formed. They both have been playing out over a similar period of time and a similar drawdown. So I'm really going to be focusing on this next period coming up here towards the end of the year and into Q1 of 2023, where this is the time frame that Ethereum Bitcoin started to form its longer term bottom. It did have those signs with the double bottom, and then it started to actually trend up from there, making a higher high, and then coming back down to put in higher lows. And then from there, it just continued that same trend into the next few months, continuing that higher low, higher high structure. And that's exactly what I'm going to be focusing on for Chainlink. So if we do have a move, that is say coming back down in towards the end of the year into Q1 of next year, I will be looking out for support to be held. I will be looking out to see if we're starting to form a double bottom. That would be a very bullish sign. If we're starting to come back down and say forming a higher low that sits comfortably above this previous low back a few months ago, these are going to be the signs that Chainlink is going to start to outperform Bitcoin. And from the previous cycle, we know that when Chainlink Bitcoin does start to have an uptrend behind it and Chainlink does start to outperform Bitcoin, we know that these trends can be very significant. We know that Chainlink has had a history of incredible outperformance, where if we just go back here to this chart, the Chainlink Bitcoin ratio, again, just focusing on this uptrend that we had, it was a very consistent and steady move up. It had this pretty remarkable trend of those higher lows, higher highs, and it just continued this structure for several years with incredible outperformance with respect to Bitcoin. And this is what really drove Chainlink up on the USD pair, because during this time frame, we know that Bitcoin actually bottomed right around here. So when Bitcoin was starting to move up and Chainlink was moving up at a faster pace, that's what really accelerated its growth in that bull market. So going back here to the chart from earlier, we really need to see that reversal for the bullish scenario for Chainlink. And at some point, I really do believe we will see that reversal. It is just a matter of when. So if we're looking at the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, again, that time frame could be coming up here. If we were to align it from the peaks, that's what this chart is suggesting. Another way we can look at it is if we were to align it from the lows. So if we were to measure it from the lows, we can get this chart. Again, looking at that comparison where they both bottomed on the same day, we actually can see that by this time, the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio had already put in its longer term bottom, and actually by a pretty significant amount. And one of the things that we can do is we can actually take a measurement and see how long it was from the Ethereum Bitcoin bottom to the bottom on the Chainlink Bitcoin ratio that we already have in place. So just taking this measurement, we can see it's approximately 218 days difference, which is one of the metrics that could suggest that Chainlink Bitcoin does have a longer term low in place. And if that is the case, then going here into, say, the next few months, we would really expect Chainlink to start to have those longer term higher lows. Another thing that I find interesting is that not only are these bottoms different by a significant period of time, over 200 days, so were the peaks as well. Ethereum Bitcoin had this much more abrupt bull market where it really just accelerated at a much quicker pace than Chainlink. And Chainlink was a more gradual outperformer with these much more consistent moves, as opposed to Ethereum Bitcoin's very abrupt and rapid spikes up. And when you do have an uptrend that is very abrupt and rapid in nature, you don't tend to develop a lot of support levels along the way. So that could be one of the things that maybe Ethereum has that Chainlink doesn't, that might have led it to have a longer decline with a more intense bear market percentage drawdown, just because, again, it didn't really just establish much support in these regions. It really just spiked right through this in a matter of weeks, and it didn't develop a lot of support levels, unlike Chainlink did, where it had a lot of time spent at some levels, very nice, clean and market structure. And I think that this could be one of the points that could suggest that maybe the Chainlink Bitcoin ratio doesn't have to be as significant of a bear market decline as the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio was back in the previous market cycle. Now, with all these metrics considered, I would say that there is a pretty likely chance that Chainlink Bitcoin could have already experienced its longer term bottom, but I don't want to get too excited yet because we still don't have much evidence. We don't have any signs that we can say this is why we believe the longer term ratio has bottomed. So looking out for into the next few months, I'm going to specifically look for those signs. Again, the double bottoms, the higher lows, the higher highs, and that change in the market structure. Where if I'm just isolating here the Chainlink Bitcoin ratio, I want to see an end to this very consistent downtrend where we have been putting in these lower highs every few months followed by these lower lows. So if we can start to break that trend and start to form a new structure, that is going to be a very big point to suggest that there is a bullish case for Chainlink leading into another cycle, and this is going to be something that could outperform Bitcoin, which would really accelerate that growth of the Chainlink USD pair. So I hope you guys did enjoy the content and the analysis. Please do consider leaving a like and subscribing. Also, by the way, I will be posting pretty frequently on my Twitter page. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. I'll be posting some charts if you want to check that out. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.